Hello there, my name is Mooseman. Today I will be informing you of whether you should play, wait, or avoid the sandbox creative game Medieval Engineers. As always, we will be looking at gameplay, visuals, value, and future potential before making a final verdict on the pre-alpha version of Medieval Engineers. Medieval Engineers is about how well you can design, construct, and implement medieval-style buildings and contraptions while fighting gravity and physics along the way. While most voxel creative games have only limited physics, Medieval Engineers is completely centered around physics. Every building that you make must follow realistic structural physics or be doomed to crumble to the ground. The destruction of Medieval Engineers is a key factor that makes it special from other creative voxel games. Everything you build can be destroyed by you or gravity, and the weaker your buildings become, the more likely they are to fall completely to the ground. The destruction is completely dynamic. If you take off a corner of your house, it may stay up for a little while, but the more support you remove from your building, the more likely the whole thing will come crashing to the ground. Medieval Engineers may sound similar to another game on Steam, Space Engineers, and that's because Medieval Engineers runs on the same engine as Space Engineers and is made by the same developer. While at first glance Medieval Engineers may simply look like a reskin of Space Engineers, Medieval Engineers has improved the building process several times over and implemented this new building process in a way that feels like an entirely new experience. Instead of being forced to use blocks that fit into a single square unit, Medieval Engineers allows you to combine several blocks together to create merged blocks which better resemble realistic buildings. Simply pressing Alt will change the block from the traditional style of voxel building into the new merged style, allowing for some of the most realistic looking voxel buildings I've ever seen while not restricting you to specialized pieces. The building process of Medieval Engineers is quite frankly revolutionary when it comes to open world building. The ability to merge blocks together has opened up an entirely new level of depth to what can be created. The merging of blocks solves one of the key problems that plagues voxel creation games: the generic and unrealistic look of buildings with a set amount of pieces and being restricted to a square box. The structures you build will be unique to you in almost every case. Just browsing the workshop, I have yet to see a castle or house that has looked the same. In my example town, I created a variety of buildings that look both realistic and have varied looks depending on their function, such as an inn, a blacksmith, and a farmhouse. While building in Medieval Engineers is some of the best I've ever seen, there are some flaws to be worked out. Deleting individual pieces of merged blocks can be extremely finicky, and when your structure relies on every piece of support to stand it up, deleting a wall accidentally can end in complete destruction of your castle. You can use the Alt-Delete feature to delete these blocks, but it's hard to tell which blocks will end up being deleted in this mode even after extended experience using it. In addition to building buildings, you can also build contraptions which utilize in-game physics to create realistic medieval inventions. You have several types of contraption blocks, including rope, wheels, and rotational axis pieces that allow you to give your castle a feeling of being alive while simultaneously expanding the already huge amount of possibilities of what can be created in-game. Using these pieces creatively can allow you to build catapults, rolling carts, cranes, ballista, elevators, mechanical walkers, drawbridges, and anything else you might be able to imagine depending on how well you have a handle on the physics. The endless possibilities of these pieces does come at a price, however. These pieces are extremely buggy as it stands. Some of the rotors and rope pieces tend to break apart for seemingly no reason, and while I have found solutions to many of the quirks of the dynamic machine system, I still avoid using too many contraptions in fear of destroying my castle with possessed parts. The building process of these smaller contraptions is also less intuitive when compared to the process of building buildings. There are two types of objects in Medieval Engineers: dynamic objects and static objects. The dynamic objects are pieces that can move freely in the world, while static objects are bound to the place where they are set. Understanding this concept and how it affects parts is essential to getting contraptions working, and it can be frustrating initially to comprehend. Simply building a cart took me an hour or so before I figured out how to get it to roll. Destroying your structures in Medieval Engineers is extremely satisfying, however it causes an incredible amount of strain on the stability and speed of the game. Anything bigger than a few blocks getting destroyed causes the simulation speed of the game to drop anywhere from 70 to 10% of normal speed. This is because the destruction in Medieval Engineers creates hundreds of individual rubble objects which more realistically simulate its destruction. In the pre-alpha state, the game has not been optimized yet to a level where even the most powerful machines could view destruction at full speed, and one of the primary hopes for the future is further optimization of this destruction. One thing I will say, however, is after the destruction, the game does return to normal speed. Only when rubble is actually moving is there any kind of noticeable problem. A solution to this problem is to simply turn structural integrity off, but that takes away one of the most essential parts of this game. In addition to the lag caused by destruction, there seems to be a slight issue where placing blocks generates lag on extremely large structures. Over the past week, I have been working on a kingdom to test out all the various types of buildings and blocks, and I began to notice this when I was working on my wall around my castle. It's not a huge problem at first, but gradually gets to nearly unbearable levels as your structures reach a couple thousand blocks in size. So I've talked a bit about this building process, but what else is there in Medieval Engineers to do? Well, that's about it at the moment. The survival mode is still in development and the multiplayer is not yet available, so building on your own is about all you can do at the moment. Don't get me wrong, building and destruction have so much depth that they can definitely be entertaining on their own, but those looking for medieval battles between friends are going to be disappointed. Both of those features are central promises for the future, but when they will be implemented is still to be determined. The visuals in Medieval Engineers are what make the game feel majestic as Medieval Kingdom should feel. The game goes for a semi-realistic looking graphic style, but with a bit of stylization thrown into it. The game looks good even on lower settings, and outside of the times when things are getting destroyed, the game runs pretty well on my mid to high-end machine. One of the things to be careful about, however, is to make sure your machine can run DirectX 11, as the game uses it exclusively and will not run on a machine with a DirectX 10 card. The game is currently $20 on Steam unless you also own Space Engineers, in which case the price lowers to $15. Whether this is a good price for you or not will be determined on how much you enjoy the creative mode, as the survival mode is still a long way off from being implemented. As someone who spends most of his time in creative modes of games, I've definitely got my worth out of the price I paid after putting in nearly 60 hours already. The future potential of Medieval Engineers is what excites me the most. The medieval era is the perfect era for creative and survival games because it has hundreds of years of history, technology, and culture to look back on for inspiration. Things like animals, farming, barbarians, and economy could be implemented in the future, while war and sieges against castles have the potential to make Medieval Engineers one of the most realistic and best representations of medieval warfare to date. Keen Software House is also perfectly equipped to carry out these goals as well. Space Engineers has shown with its weekly updates and constant expansion the pace at which an early access game should grow at. Even during the Medieval Engineers pre-release period, several patches have come out and been implemented to improve the stability and performance of the game. Keen Software House has also created a new team specifically to work on Medieval Engineers that will be completely separate from the Space Engineers team, allowing for both games to be developed at a fast pace. Since the games run on the same engine and use many of the same properties in the building process, progress made on one game will also help out the other game. For more specific information regarding upcoming features, you can take a look at the developer interview, which has some of the upcoming features discussed. For those of you looking for the next generation of voxel-based building, this is it. Space Engineers laid the ground with its refined style of building, and Medieval Engineers has taken it to the next level with its destruction-based physics, advanced contraption system, and unique block merging system. If you're looking to build medieval landscapes, create a unique, beautiful kingdoms, and experiment with these advanced physics, then my recommendation to you is to play Medieval Engineers. There are quite a few problems with the optimization, but that didn't stop me from enjoying learning how to properly engineer buildings. That being said, if you're looking for a complete medieval survival experience using this new building system, then I advise you to wait on this one. This build of the game is extremely early in the development process, so it might be quite a while until survival is implemented, and it may not be worth it to you to buy into Medieval Engineers as it stands. Thank you for watching Play, Wait, or Void of Medieval Engineers. If you would like to buy the game, a link to the Steam store page is in the description below. And if you would like to see more of my videos, like and subscribe and check out my channel where I do reviews and other gaming commentary, such as my review on Grand Class Melee 2, a top-down Smash Bros-esque fighter, or my review of the next Penelope, an arcadey, futuristic racing game.